Hey, eighth graders. All right, this is Mrs. Johnson, and I'm going to go over the first couple problems on this homework that you're starting right now called Solving One-Step Inequalities. So we are going to start by reading the instructions because you should always do that. These instructions are super important though because they teach you how to write your answer incorrectly so that you don't get a 0 on this first attempt. So here are the instructions. Solve the following inequalities for the variable given. Each problem is going to require 3 answers. The first answer is to write the inequality. For example, if it's x is greater than or equal to 5, notice what you're writing here. X, you're writing the greater than symbol, which is next to the m, and then you also have to put an equal to after it if it's a greater than equal to. Now, if it just said greater than, then obviously you wouldn't have the equal there. And then you can do the same sort of thing for less than or equal to. When you do the graph, you're going to graph it first on your paper, and then you are going to fill in the blanks with the correct answer from your graph. And then lastly, you're going to write your answer in interval notation. So I'm going to start with problem number 1. And I'm actually going to write problem number 1 on my paper. 5x is greater than or equal to negative 25. So let me show you my other paper. It was, hold on, I got to find my pen. Okay, so on problem number 1, you're going to write down the problem. 5x is greater than, I don't know why I said equal to, I think it just said greater than, negative 25. When I solve a problem like this, and this is on your paper as well, yes, you are showing your work, I am going to divide both sides by 5, and I get x. And then remember, I didn't divide by a negative, so my symbol in the middle stays greater than. Negative 25 divided by 5 is negative 5. Now, sometimes people accidentally flip the symbol here because they have a negative 25. But remember, you only reverse the symbol if you're dividing both sides by a negative. And since we divided both sides by a positive 5, this would be our final answer. Okay, so when I go to graph that, it will look like this. I always start by putting a negative 5 where it's supposed to be, and then the number above a negative 5, remember negatives go backwards, it would be a negative 4 here, and then a negative 6 down below. Now that does not have an equal to on it, so I will put an open circle at that negative 5. And then since it says x is greater than negative 5, I'm going to shade the greater side from that. So I'm going to shade everything above this lovely negative 5. All right, another thing, I think we talked about this before, is our interval notation. So looking at my graph, I've got negative 5 here in the middle, and I know that everything above it is being shaded. So my answers include everything from negative 5 upward to infinity. Now we can never actually reach infinity, so I put my open parenthesis there, but negative 5, look at that circle. It's an open circle. So that means that I can never actually touch negative 5 as well. If it was a closed circle, then I could put my hard bracket there. But since it's an open circle, I have to put my open parenthesis. That looks like an ordered pair. I know, math is really annoying sometimes because we use the same symbols for a lot of different things. So even though it looks like an ordered pair, this is actually representing an interval. Okay, so I'm going to use these 3 answers when I fill in my answers from the test. So let's look at our test here. The inequality solution that we had is x, and then I use that greater than symbol, negative 5. Okay, was it an open or a closed circle? Well, we had an open circle at negative 5, because negative 5 was where the circle was in our graph. And we shaded, and it says above or below. Our shading was above the negative 5. And our interval, we had the open parenthesis, negative 5, comma, and then look right here. Type your answer with the correct parentheses, no spaces. To show infinity, simply type infinity. Well, I want that, so I'm going to type in infinity with an open parenthesis. I hope I spelled that correctly, infinity. Looks like it's correct. I don't know why I'm second guessing myself though. Okay, so that was a full problem, done. All right, let's look at another one. If you feel like you've got the hang of this, then go ahead and start working on it. If you don't, then let's do another one. I'm going to do problem number 3 because for some reason when people see fractions, they lose their minds. All right, so let me share my paper again. Obviously, you're going to do problem number 2 at some point here, but I'm going to write down my work for problem number 3 next. Now, problem number 3 was v over 9 is less than or equal to 2/3. Now, I want to get the letter v by itself. So if I separate my two sides here, I can do that. I'm going to cover up the side that doesn't have a v. So v is being divided by a positive 9. To undo dividing by a positive 9, I would multiply by a positive 9 on the left side. Then on the right side, I'm also going to multiply by a positive 9. Now on my calculator, I can type in 2/3 times 9. And what I get for that, these are gone, and I get v. And remember, I did not multiply by a negative 9, I multiplied by a positive 9. So that symbol in the middle doesn't reverse. It's going to stay less than or equal to. V is less than or equal to 6. Okay, there's my inequality answer. I'm going to draw my number line. 6 is in the middle. I can put a 7 above it, a 5 below it. Less than or equal to. That is a closed circle because it can equal 6. So I need to represent that 6 is filled in as a possible solution. Now, less than or equal to that, I need to shade all the numbers that are less than or equal to 6. That means I'm going to shade everything below the 6. Everything that is lower than the 6. All right, when I've done that, I can now write my interval. My interval ends at 6. It doesn't start at 6, it's going to end at 6. So what goes in front of it? How far to the left can this graph go? Well, that arrow is pointing on toward not positive infinity, that would be toward the right. It's pointing toward negative infinity. So I'm going to put a negative infinity in front. Now, you can't ever reach infinity, that'll be an open parenthesis, but then 6, that's a closed circle because remember, it can actually equal 6. So I'm going to use a closed parenthesis or box parenthesis, bracket, whatever you want to call it. And it should look like that. So now I'm going to type these in correctly for problem number 3. Da, 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 da. Okay. For our inequality solution, we said it was v is less than or equal to 6. And remember, that's how we type in less than or equal to. This was a closed circle, and the circle was at 6. And shade, on ours, we shaded below the 6. Our interval notation, parenthesis, this time negative infinity to 6. And then the bracket, which is to the right side of the letter P on your keyboard. Okay, that's what you're going to do on these sorts of problems. Good luck, my lovely 9th graders.